The greatest cover-up of history is the cover-up of history. It's really simple. Those who control the past determine the future. Secret knowledge is the most precious commodity on earth. Following the trail of cover-ups relating to the world of Noah, all roads lead to Rome. The Vatican knows all the secrets.
Although Vatican City occupies an incredibly minuscule piece of real estate, just over 100 acres, it is an entirely independent sovereign country, complete with its own police force, military contingent, media conglomerate, central bank, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and intelligence agency. Covertly referred to as the entity, the Vatican's infamous intelligence apparatus is widely considered to be the most informed, most penetrating, and most insidious network of espionage in the world. The entity, like a spider, perches atop an incredibly subtle intelligence-gathering web comprised of priestly confessors, holy orders, secret societies, and informants of all stripes stealthily embedded into every echelon of society. This complex and pervasive nexus collects information from all corners of the earth, even from the most remote locations, and feeds it to the entity at the Vatican. There may be more secrets concealed in the vaults and archives beneath St. Peter's Basilica than in any of the confidential dossiers of every other nation combined. The Holy See has been in the business of intelligence gathering.
For thousands of years, the Church of Rome has been expanding its global reach through military conquests, religious subjugation, and political intrigue, acquiring on the way a vast depository of priceless manuscripts and remarkable artifacts from the past. If knowledge is power, then the Vatican reigns supreme. The popes and the agents of the Holy See have known about the giants for many centuries. Bones and giants were recovered in Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador by the Spanish conquistadors and Catholic priests during the conquest and conversion of the Incan Empire in the 15th and 16th centuries. Full skeletons and bodies of giants measuring well over 15 feet tall was discovered all over the land. Some bones were burnt up, and some was handed over to the Spanish Inquisition. In other words, into the hands of the Church of Rome. So while the rest of the world is being distracted by the convenient fantasy of Darwinism and evolution of the human species, the Vatican is quietly gathering evidence that tells a very different story. What most people don't realize is that the Church of Rome is a continuation of the Babylonian mystery religion that began in the plains of Shinar, Babylon. For centuries now, the agents of the Vatican Church have been occupying strategic archaeological locations, seizing incredible artifacts all over the earth. Oftentimes, Catholic cathedrals, churches, and monasteries are built right on top of the foundations of the ancient pagan temples and secret caverns stretching for miles. What's apparent on the surface is not nearly significant as what's hidden underground. A man called John Wesley Powell, who became the director of the Bureau of Ethnology in the Smithsonian Institution in the late 1800s. Under Powell's direction, any artifacts that are discovered in America that contradicted the theory of evolution were either destroyed or concealed in the vaults of the institution. The Smithsonian's organization were put in a position to control the flow of information, and they obviously wouldn't like the discovery of giants that supported the biblical narrative and not the Darwinian narrative. Even Abraham Lincoln was boasting poetically about Niagara Falls, and some lectures notes assumes the fact to be commonly known. And many of the findings of the Smithsonian's included people of extraordinary height and size are still documentable even to this day, even from the Smithsonian's own report. The following is a brief list of documented findings.
Recorded in the annual report of the Board of Regents of the Smithsonian Institution in 1875. Item 1, one skull measuring 36 inches in circumference. Item 2, one full skeleton with double rows of teeth buried alongside a gigantic axe, referred to in the report as a gigantic savage. Another part of that same report, giant axes and skinning stones, one weighing over 15 pounds, that had an ornately carved handle and was of such mass that it documented only a giant could have wielded this. Another jawbone that easily slipped completely around the entire face of a large man during the Smithsonian recording. And then there's the 5th annual report of the Bureau of Ethnology to the Secretary of the Smithsonian, where they document 10 more skeletons buried in a mass grave, giant skeletons. And then in the 12th annual report of the Bureau of Ethnology to the Secretary of the Smithsonian Institution in 1894, where it documents 2 enormous skulls, several baffling femur bones, and 17 full giant skeletons.
So if one was to say, while you're only reciting the conspiracy theory about the cover-up of giant bones that was excavated under the Smithsonian's, these are actual in their own reports.
In 1981, the government called in the New Zealand Forest Service and the Land and Survey to survey all the stonework up in the Waipua there, because they were going to clear fell. There had been a lot of pine trees planted on the western side of the Waipua. And so there was a team of 36, and I was the 37th archaeologist. We were up there for over 12 months doing the work up there. And then the initial dating came through, 2225 BC. And the Maori guy that was in charge, next day he closed the whole operation down. There was over $500,000 of taxpayers' money spent on this archaeological thing. All the findings, mapping, all the work we'd done was deposited in the National Archives in Wellington with a hold on for 75 years. And Gary Cook successfully got some of them released a few years ago, but all the carbon datings, they've all disappeared. God, hell no. Like I was on the Northern Region Committee here, the New Zealand Historic Places Trust, for over 25 years, and when these datings came along to our quarterly meeting up in Kerikeri there, the chairman got up and said, "You're not to say or do anything, Noel, about them." I said, "Thanks, got up and thanked him very much, and I resign here and now on the spot. I won't have anything more to do with the Historical Places Trust." But through the cover-up of what happened in the Waipua, this guy did hand in his ticket. One of the honest guys that, knew the facts and that, and this bullshit that goes on.
My particular generation and those before me here in New Zealand were raised with a particular kind of history. And it's in all of our old history books. Maori, Kamatwas, Tohungas were very open about their history, and they shared it with the colonial anthropologists or archaeologists who came through. And you found that the old people if they thought you were worth talking to, would take you aside and they'd tell you all the old stories. So we just knew what the history of the country was directly from the Maori kuias and elders themselves. Came back to New Zealand in 1974 and noted that there was sort of an enforced amnesia being put over the people of the country, where we just weren't allowed to know that old history anymore. And it seems we were being led to forget all of that for somebody's political agenda or for political expediency. And I knew it to be false, and I watched as our older history books were taken off the shelves of the libraries and replaced by sort of a new wave of Marxist history books that negated all of that former truth.
But this is what is going on, you know. Our institutions and the brainwashing is going on. They've rewritten New Zealand's history.
From Wellington?
Yeah.
And that's Iwi or?
Oh, it's governmental, departmental control. They don't want anything pre-Maori or pre-Tasman to come out.
It was easier to sweep us under the carpet. Because today our fight is really against the Crown, not the Waitangi Tribunal itself, or the people. You can't blame the people when they got, you know, when they've got the power behind them.
If we could have a Royal Commission of Inquiry and get the true, you know, academics in New Zealand and the groundwork people, do a complete, all the evidence is there.
As Noel says, it is imperative that we have a Royal Commission to make public this vital history that at present is being denied.